All right, Steeler fans, it is Wednesday. You know what that means. It's time for an update DEFCON levels. It's time to go into the mailbag. Let's get this started with the DEFCON level, shall we? In case it's your first time watching or listening, here's how it works. If you are a DEFCON 1, that is horrible. DEFCON 1 is the worst. DEFCON 5 is the best. All is well. All is great. We are smooth sailing. So with that out of the way, let's start on offense. Quarterback. It was a 3, and it stays a 3. A lot of fans are ready to heap the praise on Mason Rudolph. A lot of fans are saying that Mason Rudolph could be the guy. And I'm not saying that Mason Rudolph couldn't go to Chicago and win. I think he could. But Mason Rudolph, he took what the defense gave him. He didn't have to make a lot of plays, and the Steelers win the game. Not knocking him for it, but I'm also not going to bump him up a level. Stays at a 3. Running back. I like what I'm seeing from this stable of running backs that the Steelers have. And I'm not just talking about the top 2. Jaylen Warren, he's obviously really good. I wish they would give him the football more, play him in different situations. Kenneth Gainwell has proven his value and his worth on more than one occasion this season. But I also really like Caleb Johnson. And some people might say this guy's not going to cut it. He can't hack it, whatever. Sure, you can say you're entitled to your opinion. But I will say this. I look at Caleb Johnson and see a young player who it just might take him some time to figure it out. I've got this going from a 3 to a 4. The running back group is trending in the right direction. In my opinion, it goes up to a 4. Wide receivers and tight ends. It is a 2, and it stays a 2. Darnell Washington is awesome, but I just don't understand how players like Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, and most recently Calvin Austin, they just disappear. DK Metcalf, they finally started to feed him the ball on routes that weren't just back shoulder throws and down the sideline. They got him over the middle more. I don't know. This whole group, this wide receiver, tight end, pass catcher category, it stays at a 2, which tells you everything you need to know about how I view this position group. The offensive line, it's a 3, and it stays a 3. I was really close to moving it to a 4, but there are some injuries. You obviously have Sayamalu still dealing with the pec injury, even though he had no setbacks. You still have Broderick Jones dealing with a groin and a foot injury. And they also played a really bad Bengals team. This Bears defense is better. Let's see how they do there. Let's go to the defensive side of the football. Defensive backs go from a 2 to a 3. I was really happy with how the Steelers deployed their defensive backs. They used a lot of 2 high safeties, and it worked. And I want to give a shout out. This was something that was talked about on the website, steelcurtainnetwork.com, in my winners and losers article. Some people said, Jeff, I feel like Joey Porter Jr. should get a shout out or an honorable mention for his play. And you're right. He should. He was not penalized. He was locking down whoever he was tasked with guarding. Just really good. So that's why the defensive backs, and you could throw in Kyle Duggar's pick 6. You could throw in James Pierre's tremendous play. And they're getting healthy. So, and you throw in the option of having Asante Samuel Jr. being a part of that group, it's going up to a 3. It's going up to a 3. Inside linebacker and outside linebacker both remain at a 4. I like Cole Holcomb being an option. I am not sure he's going to get a helmet when you have Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen, and Malik Harrison, and you still have to get some of your special teamers out there. I just don't know if he's going to get a helmet when he's healthy, but I really like where they're trending. That group is a 4. Outside linebacker, again, stays a 4. Alex Highsmith, hopefully get him back. But even without him, they put good pressure on Joe Flacco, who's getting rid of the ball quickly. It's a 4. The defensive line stays at a 3. Starting to see Keanu Benton really kind of figure things out. At least it's the way I feel. I'm not a X's and O's guy. I'm not someone who is going to be able to break down the film. Like, that's not me, and I don't pretend to be that guy. But I do see Keanu Benton flashing on my television screen more often than not, and that's important. So I've got the defensive line at a 3, and it stays at 3. Special teams is a 4. It stays at a 4. This was after some poor plays last week, but I'm okay. Keyshawn Williams is a good returner, and not having him is going to hurt the return game. You saw that on Sunday when he was in the concussion protocol and was unable to actually get out there and actually return the football. The fan DEFCON level, the last DEFCON level that we talk about, I have it going from a 2 to a 3. I have it going to a 3. I think fans are starting to, we all ride the roller coaster. And Aaron Rodgers said, we can't ride the roller coaster. Look, Aaron, it's what we do. We're fans. We always ride the roller coaster. They don't have to. The team, the organization doesn't have to. But the fans, hell yes, we love the ups and downs. That's what makes it fun. We wish there were more ups and downs. But at the same time, the fans feeling good, beating the Bengals. They have the whole, Jamar Chase getting out of himself, getting suspended. It all is fuel to the fire. Fan DEFCON level goes up to a 3. All right, let's get to the mailbag segment. Not as many questions today, and that's not all my fault. This morning, or I should say Tuesday morning, Twitter was down. Our website was down because this is a cloud issue. It was dealing with way more websites than just ours, and I don't know if the Twitter issue, but nonetheless, I couldn't get the mailbag tweet out when I normally do. It didn't go out until almost noon. So not as many questions, but that's okay. We are going to press on. Let's start off with Lori. She said, I've been thinking about how teams develop their players. I think the Cowboys are a really good fit for George Pickens. The Eagles are a really good fit for Jalen Hurts. How confident are you the Steelers will be able to develop their next quarterback and create a good scheme for him to succeed? That's a great question, Lori. And I know that some people would say, well, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. They haven't drafted a quarterback. We assume that they're going to look into that, but we don't know that for certain. The way I look at it is this. If you have a good coordinator, they're going to be able to get the best out of their players. And so for a second, I want you to think back to last season. And let's assume that Arthur Smith is tasked with the job of being that coordinator for a new quarterback. Last season, with Russell Wilson and even with Justin Fields, what was he able to do? He was able to get something out of those players. Yes, they faded down the stretch. Was it his decision to go to Russell Wilson? I don't think it was. Do I think that he wished he kept Justin Fields? Maybe, but we won't ever know for sure until maybe later in his life he opens up about it, and at which point, who cares? But he got something out of him. Then you look at this year, and you look at Aaron Rodgers. He's gotten something out of him, and it looks different. They have had to find unique ways of moving the football and being a potent or a capable offense in the NFL. That is Arthur Smith, has shown that he is capable of creating an offense for whoever he has at quarterback. So I know a lot of fans are like, I don't know about this. I am fully confident that if Arthur Smith gets a quarterback, he would be able to build a system around that player. That does not mean that Arthur Smith is tasked with picking the quarterback and selecting the right one. So I hope that makes sense. I trust Arthur Smith. I can't say that I am going to trust what the team's doing. I'm going to trust Omar Khan because he's never selected a quarterback yet. But I do have some PTSD from Kenny Pickett. Not going to lie. Let's go to Jeff Coons. Greetings from Not Mad Canada. Where do you stand on the option to play Jimmy Pierre and Nick Herbig over Darius Slay and Alex Highsmith? Tomlin seems committed to playing his so-called starters even when backups outplay them while they're injured. Would it make more sense to play the best player, the hot hand, to use his own words, regardless of contract? So I think that this is something, and I'm glad you asked this question because, yes, in his press conference, Mike Tomlin did say that James Pierre is not going to continue to start. When Darius Slay is healthy, he's going to play. In my opinion, this is a situation where the Steelers are saying, look, we're not trying to Wally Pipp the guy. If you don't know who Wally Pipp was, it basically, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but he was replaced because of injury. He got hurt and never got his job back. And it wasn't even in football, but that's neither here nor there. So in this case, he's going to give Slay a chance to come back. And he might say, Darius, like, you're going to be the guy. But the moment you start faltering is the moment that we're going to say, hey, Jimmy, you're out there. Let's get Jimmy Pierre out there. Let's see what he can do. And so I would be more curious about the leash than I am him making that decision. And let's also not pretend that James Pierre hasn't had some really bad reps, not recently, but in the past. We have seen this before. Let's pump the brakes a little bit there. As for Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig, rotate these guys. Just rotate them. I just don't understand the infatuation with, well, we just need to have two guys. Like, no. Rotate them so they stay fresh. Rotate them so they stay healthy. Nick Herbig can rush on either side. Highsmith should be able to rush on either side. We know that TJ Watt can only rush from one side. That's just fact. But I don't need Herbig over Highsmith. I want them to all be healthy on the field together. That's maybe I might be skirting the question, and my apologies, but still, that's how I feel. All right, let's go to Thomas. He said, I haven't been able to ask a question in a while, but the question is, why does this team keep doing this to us? They put me at my lowest, and then they bring me back up. Yeah, it's the Dumb and Dumber scenario. It is. It's like, right when I think you can't do anything dumber, you do something like this and totally redeem yourself. Like, that's exactly what it is. I don't know. I can't answer that question. All right, let's go to PJ Gildernew. Who of the current defensive backfield players do you think will be on the roster next year? All right, so I think Joey Porter Jr. is going to be on the roster. Deshaun Elliott is going to be on the roster. Jalen Ramsey is going to be on the roster. James Pierre, I think, will be on the roster. I think Brandon Echols will be on the roster. I'm trying to think if Kyle Duggar, I think they would be stupid not to want him back on the roster, but he might want to find a better spot. And what are you going to do with Ramsey? Are you going to keep him at safety? Are you going to move him back to corner? I think that's who I'm thinking. I don't think Jabril Peppers is necessarily going to be back. I don't think Chuck Clark is going to be back. All right, he asked another one. If Aaron Rodgers is out for any length of time, do you find ways to get Will Howard in the game to see what you have in him before next year? No. This team knows what they have in Will Howard. They saw him enough in training camp. They're seeing him in scout team right now. He's in practices. He's working. He's in meetings. They know what they have. You may say, do the fans want to see it? Sure, the fans want to see it. We feel like we were deprived of that in the preseason, but they know what they have in Will Howard. And anyone that says they don't know what they have, that's BS. They see him every single day. They know. All right, and then lastly, do you think MVS and Jimmy Pierre get to start? MVS being promoted, I think it's coming. I really do. I think it's coming. I think it's to the point where if the Steelers are looking at the film and saying, my gosh, no one is getting open. No one is being able to send defenders deep. We need someone out there opposite of DK Metcalf that can do that. That's when MVS gets promoted. Not sure if it's this week, but I think it's coming. Jimmy, I think he's going to play. I just don't think he gets to start. Now, it's going to bump some people out, especially if Darius Slay gets torched. They do have some good receivers over there. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. All right, let's go to Frank. He said, hey, Jeff, I'm happy with the Steelers right now, so no real important questions. I'll save that for the smart people. What is your go-to meal for game day? I have to get pizza and wings every Sunday. So to me, it depends on the time of the game. So I'll walk you through last Sunday quickly. Last Sunday, they play at 1 o'clock. I wake up early. I get my work done for the website, get everything scheduled, everything edited, and so that everything's ready to go. I go to the gym. I want to get a lift in before the game. It's just a way for me to get my energy out. I get a good lift in. On Monday, I took my son to the gym with me. It was a great time. We came back. I shower. I typically grab, I call it like my protein yogurt. It's yogurt. There's some protein powder mixed in with it, some peanut butter, maybe a little granola. And that's all I ate. That's all I ate until about halftime. And in which case I went upstairs. My wife had made some scones, but I don't have anything that is like a staple. I just don't do it anymore. So there you go. Let's go to Will Caldwell. Hey, Jeff, revisiting the spitting situation. Do you think that the NFL dodged a bullet by the Steelers winning in spite of Ramsey's ejection from the game? That could have been a game-changing decision, which at the very most should have resulted in Chase being suspended. Well, Chase did get suspended, first and foremost, but at least as of now. But the thing is, I don't know if the NFL is viewing it as a dodged bullet. I don't know. I would have to go back and see, were their officials really close? That's the biggest thing. Were they right there to see it and they just didn't? I don't know. I can't say I agree with you 100% on that. Let's go to old Steelers fan. What is Tomlin thinking saying that Slay will start over Pierre or anyone for that matter? I think that he's taking a veteran, a very good veteran in his prime, and I'm not saying that he's that guy anymore, but he's taking a veteran. He's saying, I'm going to give you another shot. I'm going to give you another shot. You're not going to lose your spot due to injury, but I'm going to tell you that the thing to watch here is the leash. If Darius Slay goes out there and plays great, no one should complain. We want these guys to play well. We want them to go out and to shine. I don't care if it's James Pierre or Darius Slay. Just stop the aerial attack of the opposition. That's it. But James Pierre has proven enough that I think the leash should be pretty short. All right, let's go to Annie. Hi, Jeff. I'm going to direct this question to you, but it might be more of a Kevin Smith question. Why has the addition of Kyle Duggar improved the secondary so much? Was the scheme really that complicated before? Thanks for all you guys do at the Steel Curtain Network. So Coach Kevin Smith, and I'm going to plug something here in a second, he responded on Twitter. He said, "Hi, Annie, to your questions. Number one, communication seems to have improved significantly with Duggar at safety, although that could also be because of Jalen Ramsey. And Duggar is just a better all-around player than Clark or Thornhill at this point in their careers. Two, yes, the scheme was way too complicated. They were running far too many coverages, and guys were thinking too much. A slow mind equals slow feet. The whole defense looks faster now that they have simplified some things." And I want to say this. We didn't say anything last Friday, but there's not going to be an all bets are off segment this Friday. There's not going to be an all bets are off segment for the rest of this year. Jalen Ramsey. Jerome Betts he's got to take care of some stuff in his own personal life, and he's asked for some time to do that. And I said, absolutely. And so we're not going to have just a show with no segment on Friday in the second half. Coach Kevin Smith is going to join me and for the rest of this season and probably the rest of the football season every Friday in a new segment, the Coach's Corner, where we're going to ask some of these questions. We're going to pick his brain about what the Steelers are doing well, the upcoming opponent. It's going to be different. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think you all are going to enjoy it. So keep an eye out and an ear out for that on Friday. Let's finish this up as we always do with Steeler Fan 69. Hello, my friend. A weasel walks into a bar and the bartender says, "Wow, I've never served a weasel before. What can I get you?" "Pop," goes the weasel. The cultural shift of who calls it soda, who calls it pop, and the people that call every soda pop Coke. Odd. I don't know. Let's go to the next joke. "My doctor recently told me I have Tom Jones syndrome. I asked, is that common? He said, it's not unusual." I did sing it. He said, "Sing it, Jeff." I sang it. There you go. All right. Didn't have as many questions, but they were great questions. I thank everyone for participating in the mailbag segment. We will be back on Friday. Again, Coach Kevin Smith, the Coach's Corner, is going to debut on Friday. We're going to have keys to victory. I urge you to check out all of our podcasts at the Steel Curtain Network, not just those that are on YouTube, by going to wherever you get your podcasts and search Steel Curtain Network. Other than that, folks, steelcurtainnetwork.com should be your one-stop shop for all things Pittsburgh Steelers, updated multiple times a day. We've got film room breakdowns by Coach Kevin Smith and so much more. steelcurtainnetwork.com. But you know he finishes up. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday. Go Steelers.